Hey, sports fans, it's me, Sportsman Z, Bob Zolke, and today, you can see I got a hockey jersey on, and that means we're going to do something hockey. And today, a lot of people are going to be getting their cards and maybe even the game downloads. Now, I was lucky enough to have gotten my cards back on Saturday afternoon, early afternoon, and I got my game download back on, I think it was last Friday. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go over some of the cards. Some of the interesting cards, cards of players that were on my team, that are on my Strat team, cards that look interesting, cards that look good, cards that other guys that I know have Strat teams will have their, will be players on their team. Sometimes things that are notable. And we're going to do these in two groups. The first group is going to be the skaters, the forwards and defensemen, and then the goaltenders. I'm going to put the card up to the screen, show it to you if I have anything. In some cases, I'm just showing the card because it's somebody who probably should be shown. You know, like Alex Ovechkin is in here. So, anyway, let's get started. The first skater that we're going to have is Brad Marchand from Boston, who I don't like myself personally, but he had 36 goals and 64 assists. And what's notable about him is, and I don't know if this is typical for Marchand, but he was an offense 4 and offense 4 and a defense 5, which is very good, especially for somebody who's got these kind of scoring numbers. So there you go. There's Brad Marchand's card. The next one is Justin Williams. And Justin Williams last year had 23 goals and 30 assists. And he was an offense 4 and defense 4. But the biggest reason why I've got Justin Williams up here is because this could potentially be Justin Williams' last card. And wouldn't that be a shame, especially with as good as he played, and the goals, the assists, and the rating that Strat gave him, assuming that that's accurate. The next guy we're going to look at is Mark Giordano, and Mark Giordano is a guy that's on a friend of mine's team, and I'm sure he'd be very interested to see the card. He played 78 games, had 17 goals and 57 assists, and he was an offense 4 and a defense 5. And when I say defense 5, I'm talking about the 5-on-5. I mean, in parentheses, they've got what they are on the power play, and I'm not going to go into that kind of detail. But anyway, there is Mark Giordano's card. And like I say, a friend of mine has him in one of my leagues. And he's one of those guys, he's an older guy, and he seems to defy Father Time. And we have another guy like that in here, and it's one of my guys on one of my Strat teams. But we're not up to them yet, that person yet. But here we have Nathan MacKinnon, again, on a friend of mine's team. I'm in a league where there's where we have franchise type teams, and you every year you get the new rookies, the first year players of your franchise, and he's Colorado. So he has MacKinnon, and he actually joined the league the year that MacKinnon was a rookie. But anyway, MacKinnon last year had 41 goals and 58 assists. And again, a defense 4 and offense 4. It's always nice when you can find a guy like that can score like that, can pass the puck, and he plays both ways. He plays defensively as well as offensively. I think that's a knock that's been leveled against Patrick Laine. That all he can do is score goals. He doesn't spread the puck around very well, and he doesn't play defense. I won't have his card in here. I didn't think to take his out, but and he's on my team. So, and he's holding out right now. So I mean, right now, basically, he seems to be a head case, but we'll see what happens with that. Right now, we got Leon Draisaitl of Edmonton, who had, in 82 games, had 50 goals and 55 assists, which is incredible, and he was an offense 4. A defense 2, but with 50 goals and 55 assists, well, you can cut the guy some slack on that, I think. But pretty good card. There is some debate as to whether this is really a 50-goal scoring card or not. And that's for everybody out there to debate. See, one of the things that happened this year is the goaltending, the save percentages were down across the league. And so, in general, you're going to find that the goalie cards, I think, and certainly by looking at them, it looks that way, you're going to find that the goalie cards are not quite as good. So if you have a guy like Draisaitl with 50 goals, I guess Strat would say that, well, we're not going to make him the typical 50-goal card that you're accustomed to from the past, because the goalie ratings, the goalie cards and save percentages were down, and the cards are not going to be as good, and so you can still get 50 goals out of a guy's card that looks like maybe what used to be a 35 or 40 goal scoring card from years past. Now, the next guy is Brendan Gallagher, and I have him in one of my leagues, in that career league, because I'm Montreal. And the same thing happened with Gallagher. The year that I joined the league, I believe Gallagher and Galchenyuk, that was their first year. So I inherited both those guys. But the rest of the team was terrible. It took me years to get them to where they're even decent. But last year, he had 33 goals and 19 assists, a 4 on offense, a 3 on defense, and he is becoming a little bit of a ruffian, and he is a penalty C. He does like to mix it up with the big boys. So there you go. There's Brendan Gallagher of Montreal. The next guy we're going to look at, and this is the guy I was alluding to earlier, is Andy Green, who I also have on my Montreal team. I inherited him. He was already on the team when I joined the league, and he was already long in the tooth back then, and even more so now. But what I wanted to point out here is not only the 20 assists, because he is an older guy and he still had 20 assists, but he is a 5 defensively, which is going to be real nice for my team. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. You got to know that. But anyway, yeah, 5 defense for Andy Green. And now we've got, from the Philadelphia Flyers, Claude Giroux, who had 22 goals and 63 assists, and was an offense 4 and a defense 4. It seemed to be something that's prevalent against with the big stars, that they put as much work into their defense as they do their offense, and so there's the Giroux card. The next guy we got is Mr. Holdout, until recently, Austin Matthews. He played 68 games last year, and he had 37 goals and 36 assists for 73 points, and was an offense 4. But just a defense 2. So we have a guy that was holding out, and he doesn't even play defense really that well. But I guess on Toronto, I mean, I don't know. Who knows? And now, of course, here's the guy also that I was talking about earlier. We have Mr. Alex Ovechkin of Washington. With 81 games, he scored 51 goals and had 38 assists for 89 points. And the rebound breakaway column is almost all goals. And this is a guy who has had to work on his defense in recent years under back when the Capitals were run by Barry Trotz. Trotz got him to buy into being putting as much effort into his defense as he does on his offense, and so now he's an offense 4 and a defense 3. So he's getting up there, but anyway, and he's getting up there, I guess, in age too, although really I think he's only, maybe 34? Possibly 34 years old, maybe 35. But there's Ovechkin's card. And the last guy we're going to discuss is another guy that's on one of my Strat teams, defenseman John Carlson from Washington. And he is a defense 5 and an offense 4. He had 13 goals but 57 assists. That was crazy good, especially for a defenseman, and to also be a 5 defensively. That is really good. I'm looking forward to having him on my team for sure. He's not on my Canadian. No, he's not on my Canadians team. He's in the other league, and he's on my Binghamton Whalers team. But still, gonna look forward to playing him. So now we're going to. That's all of the skaters that I wanted to show and discuss. And so now we're going to go into the goaltenders, because I love goaltenders. There's a lot of them. And the first one we're going to talk about is Yaroslav Halak, who had a 92.2 save percentage. And this is kind of a good card right there. I mean, you got the goal there at, what is that, at 8? Yeah, you got the goal at 8, which is a highly rolled number. But then the other numbers aren't really rolled quite a bit, so... And he just came out of nowhere. I mean, I'm an Islanders fan, and he was on the Islanders, and believe me, we did not get this Yaroslav Halak. The next one is Carter Hutton, because Carter Hutton is a favorite of mine. Love Carter Hutton. Last year, he went to Buffalo, where he played 50 games. It's a little more than what he was used to playing when he was in Nashville, but he had a 90.8 save percentage, so he also was not quite as good as he was back when his save percentage, at least, was not as good as it was when he was in Nashville, and he wasn't playing as much because he was behind Pekka Rinne. The next guy we've got is a friend of mine has him on his team, and it's David Riddick from Calgary, first year card, 91.1 save percentage. He played 45 games though, so he started out the year, I think he was the backup to Mike Smith, but then Mike Smith hit a few rough patches, and his age was starting to show a little bit. And so Calgary went to Riddick more and leaned on him a lot more. And so that's got him up to 45 games played. So there's the Riddick card. Another guy that we're going to talk about only because of milestone type thing is Cam Ward, because this might be Cam Ward's last card. You'll remember he was on one of the Carolina Stanley Cup champion teams, and I think he was the MVP for that series where they won the cup. I'm not sure. I think he might have been either, he may have been the MVP that time. But anyway, he had a bad year last year. He only played in 33 games, and he had an 89.7 save percentage with no shutouts, and a 3.67 goals against average. So it's kind of a shame that this has to be could potentially be the last Cam Ward card. In fact, in Cam Ward's case, it probably is. I mean, in Justin Williams' case, who knows? He may come back. Or he may do one of those things where they sit out the first half of the year, the first third of the year, just to take some wear and tear off their bodies, and then they come back at some point during the year. So Justin Williams may do that, but Cam Ward is probably not doing that. And then the next card I want to discuss is another guy that's on one of my teams. He's on my Whalers team, not my Canadians, but Ben Bishop. And last year he only played 46 games because he was injured a lot, but he had a 93.4 save percentage and a 198 goals against average. And that is really a good card. I was telling a friend at work that really his card was not as good as I expected it to be, but really I came home and looked at it again and decided, yeah, really, this is pretty good. I don't know how much better I would have wanted it to be. So that's a good card. He's going to be on my Whalers team, but he can only play 46 games, and his backup is going to be Craig Anderson, and Craig Anderson was not very good last year, so it may still be a long year for that team. The next one is a guy who's fallen quite a bit based on his performance last year, and that's Jonathan Quick of LA. He played 46 games last year, had 2 shutouts, a 3.38 goals against average, but an 88.8 save percentage. So yeah, there's Jonathan Quick's card. Very un-Jonathan Quick of him. And so, you know, is this a prelude to Jonathan Quick being on the back nine and being not as good as he used to be due to possibly overuse? I don't know. Or was that just an anomaly last year and he'll bounce back? It's going to be one of the interesting questions of the 2019-2020 season. So now the next card we're going to look at is Carey Price, basically just because he's Carey Price. 66 games, a 2.49 goals against average, and a 91.8 save percentage. Pretty good. I mean, automatic goals at 6 and 9. So, I mean, he's another guy. I mean, not as bad as Quick, but he's another guy who's fallen a little bit from what we're used to seeing with him. And it also remains to be seen with him. Is he on a downhill slope, or was last year just an unusually bad year for him and he'll bounce back? Who knows? The next one, because I'm an Islanders fan and because the Islanders went from the year before being the worst in goals against to last year being the best in goals against. And that was the first time any team has done that since something like the 50s. Robin Lehner, who played 46 games, had a 2.13 goals against average, 6 shutouts, and a 93 save percentage. And and he's got an automatic goal at 7 and a 1-18 at 3. Very good card. And notably, not really his backup, because him and Grice played close to about the same amount of time. But Grice also had incredibly good statistics, though his card wasn't quite as good as this. The next one we're going to look at is from the Flyers, Carter Hart, because this is Carter Hart's first card ever. 31 games, a 2.83 goals against average, and a 91.7 save percentage. Just automatic goals at 5 and 7. So, Flyers fans are hoping that this is, and maybe even better than this, the Carter Hart they can expect going forward, and that he's the real deal. And I think maybe he is, because he's young, So you got to expect he probably is even going to get better than he was here. Whether the non-year of the goalie, as it happened to have been last year, was due to something the NHL did or really just an anomaly remains to be seen. Because I did hear that the goalie, some of the goalie equipment was the regulations for the goalie equipment was that they needed to be smaller, not quite as big as they were, the leg pads and everything. So we'll see. Now, another guy that follows on the heels of Carter Hart, who also, this is his first year card, from the world champion St. Louis Blues, is Jordan Binnington, who played 32 games and had a save percentage of 92.7% and a 189 goals against average. And kind of in the same way that some of these other guys had gotten their playing time, that like Riddick got his playing time, is that he was playing behind Jake Allen, and Jake Allen came out of the chutes not very good at all, and so that was an issue. And then they put in Binnington, and he basically put him on his back and carried him all the way to the Stanley Cup. That's what I think happened anyway. So now we've got a guy with a bad card who is also on my team, but I'm cutting him, and that is Aaron Dell of San Jose. He played 25 games, had a .317 goals against average and an 88.6 save percentage, and has automatic goals at 5, 7, and 9, and a 1-13 down at 11. So, yeah, not really good for Mr. Dell. And that's why he's going to be sent packing, I think. I think I've got him slated to be cut, although we'll see. And then the last card I wanted to show, just because it's a ridiculously bad card, was Kelvin Pickard of Arizona, who had a 3.86 goals against average, only played 17 games, and had a save percentage of 87.5%. And man, look at all those goals. I mean, that's bad. So, yeah, there's Kelvin Pickard's card. So that's the cards that I wanted to go over. I mean, there's certainly a lot more cards in there with a lot of great players, and have great cards depending on what leagues you're in and who you've got. There's probably other guys you'd be interested in, but you can see this has been kind of one of my longer videos, and that was just a few guys that I went over. So I just wanted to do that little show and tell of the cards, because I know that this is card receiving, card opening day for a lot of people. So I thought that would be interesting. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. Didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Leave a comment below in the boxes below. You can also contact me at any of my various contact information, social medias, the email, there's the Instagram and Twitter. And you can also contact me at Facebook, just on my name, Bob Zuhlke, Zuhlke. Always willing to hear what everybody thinks. What do you think about some of these cards? Was there a card that stood out to you? Let's get some discussion going, and let me know what you think. But in the meantime, this is me, Sportsman Z, Bob Zuhlke, signing off.